Hey there, Craze here, and you're probably wondering where I've been. So, before I get started on the actual video, I would like to explain myself for that. So, originally, this part 2 was going to come out at around the end of the school year, beginning of summer. And that did not happen because I got caught up in not only a school play, but several concerts, an entire musical theater production. And after that, I found out that I got accepted into the pre-college program I wanted to do. So basically, I do have an almost finished version of the video, but I ended up having to rework it so many times because I didn't like it. And then by the time I would think I'd have a version I could work on, I'd end up being wrapped up in more stuff. And of course, over the summer I got wrapped up with work, and it is almost time for me to set out and go to that pre-college program. So because I do want to give you guys some content before I head off to college, I will be giving you the version of that video that is most recent, but I will obviously have it a little more cleaned up, and I may interject with some current thoughts, just because given how much time I've had doing other things, I've also had a little bit more time to think about some other story beats that I'd like to add. So, for the most part, you're going to be getting that original video. I might chime in a little bit. I think the most that I'm really cutting out of anything is that original intro, because I'm still there saying 1 month isn't too bad, and now it's been almost 4 months. So, yeah. Actually, correction, it's been 5 months. I am so sorry. So, to make a long story short, especially if you skipped to this part, I have been incredibly busy with plays and concerts and my job, and I'm heading off to a pre-college program soon, so I'm giving you the most recent version of the video I was going to put out, and I'm gonna just chime in sometimes. So enough yapping! Today we are doing more Yandere Simulator redesigns, and we're going to be covering Kizana, Oka, Asu, and Muja. I swear, I keep mixing her up with Mita. I feel so bad, but also, that's what happens when you have two similar sounding names. Also, 2 things. 1, a lovely viewer whose comment I cannot find. I think that is an issue on my end, but they mentioned to me that the Unity assets were not in fact passed off as Yandere Dev's own work. He did mention that they were just simple models that he could replace later. And now it's later and they have not been replaced, they have just been given wigs, but tomato tomato, right? Second of all, I would like to thank you guys for over 100 subscribers. I genuinely didn't really think I would get that much. For people who don't know, I started up this channel because I lost access to my old one, which I started when I was 12 and has some really cringy content on it. Anyways, I said enough yapping, and what did I do? I kept talking. Let's move on and cover the Kizana redesign. Hey there, Craze here. Hold on, let me fast forward this. There. Look at me, I'm the Himedere of the group. The thing about Kizana and other rivals going forward is that she isn't actually in the game yet, and she is still not in the game as I'm posting this, so there isn't anything that I can really take from or look at to see what I can improve upon other than her actual design. So let's start there. Let's start with her design. I changed her hair, as you can see. I had to. I'm sorry, it was like an instinct. There are ways to make drills work, but I just really didn't like the way they looked on her, I'm sorry. I also gave her a headband with a rose on it in place of the roses in her hair just because I changed her hairstyle. I might as well change her hair accessory. I gave her the new school uniform with some plain
purple tights
because God, do I hate the sock designs in this game. I gave her the club leader pin, and then I also gave her a beauty mark, just because I feel like it suits her perfectly. As for her story, she comes back to school on the week of play auditions and asks Senpai to help her with her lines. And Senpai gives her some genuine feedback, something she doesn't usually hear because people tend to be too nervous to make her mad. Think of it as the taming of the shrew, but it's not sexist. Having someone challenge her acting skills, although making her a little bit mad, kind of fascinates her. Her elimination method would involve asking to join the drama club's stage crew. Through backstage gossip, you would learn that Kizana is jealous of her sister, Kokona, because she was the one who got the lead role. I'm going to use this moment to mention that I changed Kizana's last name to Harukawa, same applies to Kokona. I just didn't like the idea of her name being Snobbish Snob. By the way, comment below if you want to see other non-rival characters get redesigned. I think that would be fun to do. You could either use false rumors and edited recordings to convince Kizana to sabotage her own sister and get her in trouble for it, or just be a normal person and encourage her and then ask her to stop stealing your man. You can do that too. Nah, that's for boring people. Anyways, here is Kizana. I really like this design, even though I am just a sucker for pretty purple characters. I'm honestly really proud of what I came up with for her hair because I took inspiration from one of her other, demo hairstyles. Anyways, next up, let's do Oka. Ooh, I'm scary, but I'm also shy. You already know Oka was one of my favorites when I was younger. She is probably one of among many characters that are the reason why I dress the way I do today. For her design, I gave her a longer skirt because I figured that would help add to her sort of withdrawn image. I also made her uniform slightly messy just to kind of correlate with her messy hair. And of course, she has fingerless gloves, combat boots, a little choker, and I gave her a little will-o'-the-wisp earring because I changed her motif to be more yokai than Western occult. Also, in my version, there would be less of an occult club and more just a group of kids who meet in an abandoned classroom. I actually didn't even really think about it at first, but now I realize that ended up being a really good way to lower the number of club leader rivals. As for her story, she shows up back to school after being gone because she thought that there might have been a ghost following her, and she runs into Senpai, and it's basically love at first sight. The thing that would make it hard to just kill her would be that she's really well hidden during the school day, although if you do find her, you can kill her, but if you try to kill her after school, she is with the occult club. But by eavesdropping, you can hear that she has a little bit of paranoia surrounding ghosts. So by stealing some of the occult club's resources to study ghosts, you can play into her paranoia over the week, causing her to leave school. From that point on, a missing person poster with her face on it can be found in the town. Anyways, here is Oka. I really like her design, honestly. And I am now realizing I think I totally forgot to mention that I made her dark-skinned. I didn't think about that at all. Either way, I love her design a lot. Let's move on to Asu.
I used to have hoop dreams till I found out there were other ways to score.
At first, I had such a hard time with Asu because she is just so boring. You can absolutely tell she was added in to increase the number of rivals. I am a little sad that one of the more tomboyish characters isn't really fleshed out very well. I guess we just had to make way for Miss Boobalicious coming up next. I was even struggling to fix her hair because what the hell is that? Her hairstyle just pisses me off even more when I realize there are so many good-looking short hairstyles out there, and you settle on this. Luckily, I did end up landing on this spiky hairstyle, and I gave her a little sweatband around her head, as well as a sweatsuit that I imagine she would wear after a swim meet. So this is high-key a me problem, but I kind of super totally forgot that Asu was supposed to be this sort of, like, jack of all trades at every sport ever, but I think for the sake of simplicity and for the sake that she has the swim logo on her armband, we're just gonna make her leader of the swim team and keep it at that. I mean, that's kind of already what was going on with my rewrite anyway, but I still totally forgot. And before I get into her story, you're gonna see her have yellowish skin throughout the speed paint. I changed that. I absolutely changed that. I can't believe I almost let her have that. She looks jaundiced, but I changed it, don't worry. For her story, she has a swim meet coming up, and she kind of needs to warm herself up for it, but she sees that Senpai is kind of feeling down, so she offers to exercise with him so that they can have something to do together to get his mood up. The thing about this week is you actually need the two of them to be close enough but not too close to start dating, because it'll distract Asu from actually getting ready for her meet. She will start prioritizing Senpai rather than the exercises she actually has to do to prepare for the swim meet. And the thing that would make it hard to just kill her would be that she can absolutely outrun you, so you would need a really high physical stat if that was the way you were trying to go. The reason it is so important to sabotage the swim meet is that Asu is trying to live up to the way her aunt was. She feels an intense pressure to do so, so once Senpai introduces a way to enjoy sports in a more relaxing way, it causes her to get distracted from what she has to do. When she loses the swim meet, she's absolutely devastated and can't even bring herself to talk to Senpai because of it. Senpai, not wanting to lose another friend, will try to do one last run with her, but he'll sprain his ankle. And that will cause him to meet the next rival. Anyways, here is Asu. She didn't turn out as bad as I thought she would, but I'm still not a huge fan of her design. I'm mostly just glad I was able to fix the hair and that I fixed the skin while I could, because she was yellow. Anyways, let's move on to Muja.
I'm so sorry about that. I was busy boobing boobily.
Muja. This is where we get to the problematic stuff. Now, I am highly suspicious of the idea that she's supposed to be a university student. If I remember correctly, that particular piece of information got revealed after some of the Yandere dev drama got started. Of course, you can feel free to correct me below, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So I'm still playing it safe and making her a student nurse like most people do. I gave her the standard school uniform with a coat to indicate that she is a student nurse. I also gave her a headband with a little cross on it, as well as some bandages on her face and her knee because she's still going to be clumsy. And as I previously set up, she's going to meet Senpai because he sprained his ankle after his last run with Asu. Muja is coming in from a vocational school to do some hands-on learning as a school nurse at Academy. A lot of her clumsiness and airheadedness just comes from her falling in love with Senpai. In a way, she's kind of like Ayano, where normally she can be pretty focused, but she sort of just melts around Senpai. So you, as the player, would have to find other ways to ensure she continues messing things up. It would be hard to just kill her because she's a student nurse and is supervised by other nurses. I also forgot to mention this, but she would have the teacher's pet personality, which would basically just mean that if she catches you holding a weapon or doing something suspicious, she'll immediately go to one of the older nurses. If you were to kill her, you would have to do it after school, where she will be at the rooftop by herself. Otherwise, you're mostly balancing stealth, which would be doing things like tampering with pill bottles, and keeping an eye on Senpai to make sure he doesn't get hurt in any way, so that way he can't visit her. And that is Muja Kina. I think other than Oka, she has to be one of my favorite designs. She just looks absolutely adorable. And I honestly just really like the idea of her mostly being clumsy because she's in love. Like, I'm just attached to her now. I'm attached. Let's move on to some final thoughts. Well, I finally did it. I got the Yandere Simulator video out. It only took 5 entire months, but honestly, I'm still really proud of these designs, even if Asu turned out like Asu. I'm sorry, I'm still not a huge fan of her, but either way, I still think these are a very nice improvement and give a little more character than just, and this anime girl has this archetype. If you haven't already, feel free to like the video if you want to see more of this, and feel free to comment which design was your favorite. And, of course, if you want to see more from me after I do my pre-college program, feel free to subscribe. And speaking of subscribe, once again, thank you guys for over 100 subscribers. It really just makes me happy that, like, I know on the internet 100 is kind of a small number, but imagine that in real life. That is like 110 people who all like your work. That's a lot of people. I do want to try and figure out something to do to kind of celebrate that milestone, but that's going to be after I go off to college for those 3 weeks. I am going to be studying animation up there, so maybe you guys will get an animation that doesn't look horrible? Who knows? This has been Craze, and see ya in hell!